Car Lease Explained in the United States, animated. If you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, what is a car lease? What's the difference between leasing and financing? What are the pros and cons? Is leasing a good option? I'm Geoff, creator of FindTheBestCarPrice.com, and in this video, we'll answer some of the most important questions about car leasing in the United States. Let's begin by answering the question, what is a car lease? Introduction. What is a car lease? Car buyers in the U.S. lease millions of cars each year because it allows them to enjoy the perks of driving and taking home a brand new car without steep monthly payments. A car lease, or auto lease, is when under contract, one party agrees to temporarily own a vehicle under a fixed window of time in exchange for regular payments. Simply put, it's renting a vehicle for a specific period. It's similar to financing a car, except that you'll not eventually own the car. Now let's talk about the difference between financing and leasing. Financing versus leasing. The difference between financing and leasing is in the ownership of the car. When you finance a car, you make payments to own the vehicle after the term. However, when you lease a car, your payment is more like a rental payment, where you return the vehicle to the dealer when the lease agreement ends, usually about 2 to 3 years. In both situations, the lessee, which is you, makes monthly payments to the lessor or the dealer. The main difference is, in a car lease, you won't own the vehicle and you have to return it when the agreement ends. A car lease is also easier to pay off as you will only have to pay for the vehicle's depreciation cost, which is typically lower than paying to own a car. This is just one of the advantages of car leasing. Let's take a look at some of the biggest advantages and disadvantages. Advantages and disadvantages. There are many pros and cons when it comes to leasing a car. These are important for you to know in order to make smart decisions, whether you should be leasing or financing a vehicle. Let's start with the advantages. Here's why you should consider leasing a car. Small down payment. First, car leasing requires a smaller down payment, so you won't have to worry about burning a hole in your pocket. Leasing a car is an ideal option for those who don't have the capability to pay up front. It allows the buyer to purchase a new car for a small down payment, usually below 20% of the market price, and save a lot of money on sales tax. Just note that taxes vary from state to state, so make sure to check in with a tax professional. You bring home a new car. Another big plus when leasing is you get new cars more frequently. If you want to change cars every 2 to 3 years, then car leasing is a great option for you. Car leasing offers the privilege of taking home a new car for a minimal amount, plus you'll always have warranty coverage and peace of mind, knowing that you're driving the latest model that barely needs maintenance. You can buy a vehicle out of your price range. That new model you were dreaming about but not sure you can afford, you can buy that vehicle that's just out of your price range. You can drive it home because leasing makes it easier to pay for that car that's a little over your price range. This is possible because lease payments are based only on the depreciation of the vehicle, which makes it a cheaper option. You can also trade in your current car to reduce your payment. Now, if you're looking for the latest deals in your area, you can check out offers from several car dealers to get the lowest prices. Just visit FindTheBestCarPrice.com. And now let's talk about some of the biggest disadvantages of leasing a car. You don't own the car. Number one, and probably the biggest downside, is you don't own the car. When you're leasing, you don't own the vehicle, unless you pay for it at the end of the term. This means you can't customize it, sell it, abuse it, or take it too far off the grid with mileage limits and other restrictions. At the end of the lease term, you'll have to return it in good condition to avoid extra charges for wear and tear. Payments and penalties. Second, payments and penalties. Since you're bound by contract to make regular payments, you'll also be vulnerable to steep penalties. When you lease a car, be ready to keep up with monthly payments and possible additional lease end costs. You also have to take good care of your car because, as I mentioned, you really don't own the property, so make sure to perform regular maintenance and avoid modifications. More expensive in the long term. And finally, another disadvantage when leasing is it's more expensive in the long term. Car leasing is an easy fix and it offers many perks, but with this comes a price. Though it's a good option when it works for you, just keep in mind that you don't really own the title of the vehicle. Think of it as renting an apartment instead of owning a house. You're bound with regular payments, but you don't own anything in the end. At least when financing a car, you'll have a new property by the end of the contract. Common terminology. When you're about to lease a car, it's better to familiarize yourself with car leasing lingo. Here are some of the most common terms you'll need to understand. Cap cost or capitalized cost is the price of the vehicle plus any additional costs that will be financed. Lease term is the length of the car lease, a fixed window of time that's stated in the contract. The mileage cap is the number of miles you're allowed to have in the car when you return the vehicle after the lease term. The disposition fee is at the end of the lease term, which compensates the dealer for preparing your lease return. The purchase option agreement refers to an option to buy the vehicle after your lease is complete. The money factor is the lease equivalent of the annual percentage rate in a car purchase loan. The residual percentage amount is the residual value of the car expressed in a percentage. The higher the residual percentage, the lower the amount of depreciation you have to pay. Should you buy or lease a car? And now to the question, should you buy or lease a car? If you have the money up front, and if you're looking further down the road, then buying a car should save you some money. When you own the vehicle, you have equity because you can actually sell it afterwards. Also, if you drive longer miles than the average driver, then you might consider buying to avoid mileage limits. But if you're looking to drive a brand new car every few years or so, and not worry too much about depreciation, then leasing could be the strategy for you. Leasing will allow you to drive cars with the latest tech and help you avoid maintenance expenses, which come with older cars. Each has its own pros and cons, and it really depends on your budget, goal, and preference. Now it's up to you to decide. I'm Geoff from findthebestcarprice.com. Visit my website to find out more about car leasing and how to get the best deals in the United States. Stay tuned for the next video.